I'm still in Asia for another almost 2 weeks now, and so I thought I'd do little updates about Tinder and cold approach and the differences here in Asia. Now, as you can see, I'm in the city, so I'm not out in the farm or anything like that. Yesterday, pulled 2 girls. Lunchtime was a Tinder girl, and dinner was a girl from Cold Approach. And I want to explain the differences between them. Now, the girl from Tinder, and there is something here that I think you guys need to understand, is that guys that do Cold Approach also use online dating. But the guys that use online dating specifically and teach you how to do that, and they sell products on Tinder, very few, if any of them, do any cold approach at all. So I would argue that the cold approach guys would understand both sides of the coin more. So, lunchtime. Okay, well, I'll tell you the cold approach first, because it happened 2 days ago. I was in Starbucks. I went into Starbucks, I got in the line, and the girl in front of me was on her lunch break ordering a coffee. She was getting 2 sort of creamy, I think they were iced coffees with like ice cream in it, something like that. I hope you can hear me okay. There's a lot of traffic. So as soon as she ordered, as soon as she finished ordering, and there was that little gap between me ordering behind her, I then said hello, right? I opened. Anyway, she's with a work colleague, that's why she was ordering 2 of them. We sat down together out inside the Starbucks, and I met her and a work colleague. She works almost every day, long hours. She's, dressed like a secretary, but it's like a fashion sort of a store. Anyway, more of a high-end one. She was wearing high heels. Polite, nice, well-dressed. Not the type of girl you're going to find on Tinder, okay? So number close. Okay, this was 2 days ago. So then, last night today, I matched with this girl who was, by the way, the Starbucks girl was 22. The girl from Tinder was 24. Immediately, the girl from Tinder, she sent me a screenshot of a handsome white guy and goes, "Is that you?" And this guy was like 25. He was probably 6'3" or something, jacked, and he had these professional photos on Tinder. This is the type of guys that she's matching with. But I would give her a rating like a 7 at most. At 24 as well, you would probably drop her down to a 6. Then what happened was I eventually convinced her to come out and date me, which is outrageous because she's got so many options on Tinder. And then she demands that I pay for her taxi to come to meet me yesterday. So I got to pay for a taxi. It works out to be about $6 or $7, so it's not a big deal. But worked out to be $14, $15 when I sent her home. She comes around, we grab a drink and we go for a little bit of a walk, and I'm pulling directly back to my place, right? I'm not messing around. I start pulling back, and she knows the game because she's on Tinder, right? So she's like, "Where are we going? What's happening?" There's all of these objections, right? She knows the game. It's happened to her many times. The type of girl that's on Tinder is, in fact, meeting up with a lot of guys, and a lot of the guys are trying to pull these girls immediately. So there's so many objections. I eventually get her back to my place. And then there was also more objections at my place. Like, she knew the game. Eventually we did sleep together, but it was like a lower quality girl, kind of she didn't only know her worth, but her reality, because of Tinder, gave her this overstated self-belief in what her worth is, when really it's not really that, she's not really that worth it's not really worth as much as she thought she was, right? So I had all of these difficulties pulling her, eventually slept with her, and then I had to pay for a taxi. She was kind of demanding. And on top of that, sleeping with her, this is another important thing that a lot of guys don't cover, but I cover it here on this channel, is she wasn't as innocent, if you know what I mean. So what I mean by she wasn't as innocent is that it wasn't like she was a virgin. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? Have you seen my video on vagina size? Check out my video on vagina size. I think it's the second most viewed video on my channel. And actually let's sit down here for a second. It's a nice spot. So she had slept with a few white guys, and she wasn't innocent downstairs, let's just put it that way. So it wasn't as good as a more innocent girl in Asia in general, because she's on Tinder meeting a lot of foreigners, right? Okay, so that one's out of the way. Second one, the girl from Starbucks, the cold approach girl, 22, 2 years younger. One, she's working hard. She told me her life story, which, like, it's a bit of a hard luck story, but she's working really hard and doing really well. So she's making money now. Paid for her own transport to come meet me. I didn't have to pay anything. She came to meet me. She turned up better dressed than the girl from Tinder. The girl from Tinder didn't really put that much effort in because she didn't think that she needed to. The girl from Cold Approach, she did her makeup up. She turns up in high heels and a nice dress. She really put some effort in, you see? And that also told me that she hasn't dated a lot of guys, so this was like a special sort of an event for her to date, to go out on a date, because she's working most of the time, which also means she's more innocent, which also backs up my claim that the most innocent girls you're going to find are through Cold Approach. They're definitely not through online. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to find some innocent girls online, but I would argue that it's a lower probability. I might go off the street here because it's a little bit loud. You might be able to hear me better, I don't have to yell. Yeah, this might be a good spot. So, turns up dressed, I was quite impressed. She really put in a lot of effort to turn up, and you can tell when a girl puts a lot of effort into turning up to a date, and that's what she did. We sat down. She also offered to pay. I was like, what the hell? Now, the girls from Tinder, they always just expect you to pay for their transport, expect you to pay for everything. They tell you they've got no money. So the barrier to entry for a trashy Asian girl that just wants to meet foreigners and exploit them is download an app for free, swipe right on Tinder, match up with foreigners and expect them to pay for everything. Don't put any time and effort into dressing up because you're meeting a ton of foreigners all the time. And that's kind of the game. But this girl last night, so innocent. And then when I said, look, let's go watch a movie, she kind of clicked when we were walking back to my place, but it was innocent. Like, she didn't know the game. So when I'm pulling, there weren't all these objections. It was like, oh, okay. And we get back to my place and she's like, you know, there's lots of scammers. She wanted to talk about scammers, and I was like, I'm not a scammer. I'm not pulling you into my place to scam you. I didn't travel all the way here to Asia to scam girls for money. In fact, I'm spending money here. I'm the one with money. And so we had that discussion as well. So she was just naive about the whole dating scene, which is the type of girl you want to find, right? And then there was very little objections at all, and then we refer to my video, the second most viewed video on my channel, where I talk about vagina size and girls that have slept around a little bit too much and the size of the vagina and loosening up, etc. This girl was extremely innocent, and afterwards she was extremely tired. So, and there was lots of noise, if you know what I mean. And she absolutely loved it, right? And there's a stark difference between doing cold approach and online dating. And this is just my experience from yesterday. And I think a lot of guys that will come to Asia, I'm only here for another 2 weeks. Radicus has chucked his tantrum. I don't know what he's doing now. I think he couldn't keep up with me. He just wants to swipe right on Tinder and lay in his bed all day. So he doesn't really do any cold approach. And he didn't like the fact that my game was better than his while I was here. And I was hooking all the sets and he couldn't keep up with me. So he chucked a bit of a tantrum. It was like an ego thing. But so I'm out here solo doing some DG. And these are good points that I'd like to make. I think it's important that you guys understand that a lot of guys will come to Asia. They'll say it's easy in Asia. Sure, it's easy in Asia. But literally just before I turned on the camera, I approached the two set. One girl was average looking, the other girl was the one I wanted to approach, and she had like a little mini skirt. It was like she was a secretary or something. She had high heels on, and when I approached, like I'm dressed like this, like, you know, I'm not looking the best. I can't exactly bring my best clothing over here. I don't have a wardrobe here. But immediately off the approach, she's like, I don't understand, and waved me off really bitchy. And that's a sign of a high quality bitchy girl that works in one of these office buildings right here. That's the game. That's the game. The girl that just rejected me literally before I turned on this camera, and off the approach I was like, hi. She's like, oh, we don't understand you, blah, blah, blah. And like waved me off like I was a peasant. That's the type of girl you have access to with cold approach. Sure, I got rejected back there, but the fact that she waved me off in such a bitchy way, that was, whoa, that's the type of one I'm after, right? That's the type of girl I'm trying to get. Now, I'm gonna go try again with many other girls like that today. And walk around, but there is a clear difference between the online girls and the cold approach girls. And now I've been here over a week and a bit now. A lot of the cold approach ones are starting to come in. You guys that are in my group, you saw how on a Tuesday night it was dead. I tried to find a nightclub and I filmed it and I put it in the group. The girl that one of the girls that I met there, she's now texting me now, and she might come around tonight. Now, these are the cold approach ones. It might take a couple of days or a week for them to come through. It takes a little bit more time and effort, but it depends on what you got going on in your life. I like the challenge of cold approach, and this is why I'm also making it a business where I coach guys. So by getting out there, it's not like I've got other business things to do. I can argue that doing Daygame is my business. So I get it. A lot of guys will come to Asia and they want to do some sightseeing. They just want to swipe right on Tinder and grab some trash off there. But if you're actually out to try and get the highest possible quality girl that you can access while you're in Asia, cold approach is the only way to go. So that's my experience from yesterday and last night. And last night it was nice. You know when you sleep with a girl and then afterwards you're like, oh, I could go again? And I'm in my 40s. I don't have that much energy, especially when I slept with a girl at lunchtime and sleep with another girl at dinner. Oh, by the way, my lay count, I don't know, like I've done like 100 this year as it is by doing those boot camps and those immersions by traveling a little bit. So I lost count. I lost count at like 450. years ago. But anyway, you know when you sleep with a girl and it's just like, oh, I could go again. For a guy in his 40s who, you know, like the energy levels are lowering, for me to do that, that's evidence of how good it was, right? My body was like, let's go again, this is awesome. And at the end of it, she was like exhausted. She had like glazed eyes, and yeah, she enjoyed it. So I'll be back in Sydney in a couple of weeks, and then I'll get back into immersions. If you're in Australia, hit me up. Top link in the description. Check out the website, and we'll do some cold approach coaching in Australia when I'm back. See you guys in the next video.